They say the woods are quiet at night. They're not. Not when the sky sounds like it's tearing open. It was late autumn in northern Michigan. The air was the kind of cold that stings your teeth when you breathe, and the forest smelled like pine and frozen dirt. My dog, Hank, and I were following a deer trail behind my cabin. The moon was thin, barely a sliver, just enough to silver the frost on the leaves. Then I felt it before I heard it. A deep, bone-vibrating boom that rolled across the ground. It rattled in my chest like someone striking a gong inside me. Hank barked once and bolted toward the sound, tail high like he'd just been promoted to hero. Through the trees, a streak of blue-white fire split the sky, not like a meteor. Slower, controlled, almost alive. It left a glowing wound in the clouds, trailing smoke, and something that shimmered like sparks but didn't fade. The impact came with a muffled whoomp, followed by the faint hiss of steam. I found the clearing minutes later. The wreck sat in the center like it had been dropped there by a careless god. It wasn't metal in any way I knew. The surface shifted, rippling as though it were breathing. Small vents pulsed with light, and the air around it smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet, like burned sugar. Then I heard it, a sound like music wrapped in breath. Not a song exactly, more a tone that went straight to the spine, both comforting and unnerving. I climbed in through a jagged tear in the hull. Inside, shadows moved with a faint blue glow, bending strangely as if the space didn't trust its own geometry. And that's when I saw her. She was slumped in the corner, one hand clutching her side. Her skin shimmered with shifting colors, deep purples sliding into golds, blues pulsing faintly when she breathed. Her hair floated like it was underwater, catching the light in tiny glints. Her eyes locked on mine, huge black, with a depth that made me feel like I was leaning over the edge of a cliff. She whispered one word, "Hide." Then came the helicopters, their blades chewing up the silence. Searchlights swept over the treetops. I didn't think. I scooped her up. She was warm, lighter than she looked, and her faint scent was like rain on hot stone. I slipped into the forest just as a beam of light cut across the wreck. The next morning, I saw him on the news. Special Agent Warren Crail, head of something called Project Genesis. The chyron underneath read, "Responsible for national security regarding unidentified biological entities." Crail had the kind of face that made you want to check your wallet. Square jaw, military haircut, a custom suit that probably cost more than my truck, and a smile that didn't touch his eyes. His voice was smooth, too smooth. The way a snake might sound if it could talk. He didn't say alien. He said foreign biological. He didn't say capture. He said secure for the safety of the public. But the way he looked into the camera, that was hunger. My cabin was about as far off the map as you could get without moving to Alaska. 2 rooms, a wood stove that only worked when it felt like it, and a bathroom that constantly plotted my death. I patched the cut on her forehead with duct tape and gauze. The best my redneck first aid kit could manage. She didn't complain, just studied me like I was some strange creature she wasn't sure was dangerous. By morning, she was speaking broken English. By nightfall, she was teasing me about burning eggs. She told me her name was Leora, though when she said it in her own language, it sounded like a chord played on a harp. She tried coffee the second day. Her pupils contracted, her posture straightened, and she murmured, "Weaponized joy." Then she drained the mug and asked for 3 more. I cut her off after 2 and hid the pot. Crail's people moved fast. Roadblocks on the main roads, drones scanning the forest. Black SUVs parked outside diners, questioning locals. Rumors spread about unmarked vans grabbing people for extended questioning. The third night, I shot down a drone hovering outside my cabin. Hank fetched the wreckage like it was a stick. That's when Leora said, "We can't stay." We left in my '85 Ford, rusted, dented, but loyal. We stuck to logging roads and half-forgotten dirt tracks. We slept in barns, abandoned cabins, under bridges where the air smelled like river mud. I taught her poker, the beauty of peanut butter, and why gas station sushi was a terrible idea. She taught me to say her name properly, and how to whistle using my hands in a way that made birds answer back. Everywhere we went, Crail's shadow followed. Farmers warned us about SUVs a mile behind. Gas stations had security cameras that suddenly didn't work after we left. One night we hid in an old barn. I heard tires on gravel. Voices. Crail's. "Fan out. She's hurt. He'll slow down for her. Don't damage the subject. Yet." I froze. His voice had that awful calmness that only came from someone who saw people as chess pieces. We slipped out the back and into a cornfield, moving until my legs felt like rubber. At dawn, Leora collapsed against a fence, exhausted. That night, by the dim glow of a campfire, she told me everything. She was part of the United Federations of Planets. Earth was under review. Too much war, too much cruelty. Her mission: observe and decide if humanity was worth saving. "What happens if you say no?" I asked. Her silence was worse than any answer. We stopped in a tiny town for supplies. I left her in the truck. When I came out, Crail was leaning against his SUV, smiling. "You know, harboring a foreign biological is a federal offense, right?" he said. "But I get it. She's fascinating. Not human. Not yours. And soon, not alive if you keep playing hero." I told him to go to hell. His smile didn't move, but his eyes sharpened. "I don't need you. I just need her. And I will get her." At dawn, she woke me. "They're close." We had one chance. Reach her extraction point before Crail closed in. The ridge overlooked a frozen lake. The trees were skeletal against a pale sky. In the center of the clearing, the air shimmered. Reality folding inward, a silver disk humming low. We were steps away when SUVs burst from the tree line. Crail stepped out, flanked by agents. "You think you can hide her forever?" he called. "She's not yours. She belongs to me." I stepped between them. "She doesn't belong to anyone." Leora's voice was quiet but strong. "You don't understand. You've already done enough." I turned to her, confused. "I was sent to see if your kind deserved another chance. All we needed was one person. One person to be courageous." She smiled. "You were that one." Crail barked. "Take them." I grabbed her and kissed her. She tasted like cold air and coffee. The light swallowed her. The disc vanished. Crail shouted orders, but she was gone. The news called it balloon debris. Crail denied everything. But some nights, I look up at the stars. Somewhere, she's looking back. "They'll never know it was you," I whisper. "But I will."